I'm back. It's just a few minutes later after the last video ended. And so, as you know, my issue that I'm having is that I'm not, or that I believe I'm having, is that I'm not restarting the time when I restore the system after a failure. So let's just do a quick run through again so we can see that. So I'm compiling my code. I'm running it from a file, examples.4. You know, thermostat on, night setting, light on, light off, greenhouse water is on, and then I trigger this power outage event. And just to refresh everyone's mind what was happening there, I'll just put this back. The events that triggered were right away, thermostat on, night setting, light on, light off, thermostat on night setting at 0 time, so that went away. Light on at 2 seconds, that went away. Light off at 4 seconds, that went away. And then greenhouse water is on at 6 seconds, that gets eliminated off the list. And then the power out event gets triggered at, this is actually supposed to be 6500. Just a typo I just made there. That triggered and that went away, and this is what gets left on the list. So then when we re-trigger the event by restoring it, everything prints out, first of all, immediately. There's no time delays like there was the first time, and the order is off, as you can see here. So I'll bring this back. So we get water, greenhouse water is off, then thermostat on, day setting, bell event, and terminating. And we know that's not accurate because we ended at 6.5 seconds when the last event triggered, when the power out event triggered. So the next event should have been at 7 seconds, fan on, then fan off at 8 seconds, and then the bell event rings at 9 seconds, followed by water off at 10 seconds, thermostat day at 12 seconds, and at 20 seconds, terminate. But instead we get it in this order: water off, thermostat on, day setting, water off, thermostat on, day setting, bell event rings 5 times, and then terminate. So we get them in the order that they're actually in the file, not chronologically according to the time. And the reason that is because, as I was saying, when I got looking at my run code, where's the controller? So in my run method, as I iterate through the list, I always check, as I'm iterating through the list using the for each loop, if e.ready, so if the event is ready, which basically, if we look at the event class, ready just basically says, is the current system time, we use, system.current time in milliseconds, we grab that from the system. If that's greater than or equal to the event time, well, then it's ready. Well, what's the event time? That was determined by the current system time when we called the start method originally, and the delay time, which is what these numbers represent. But because I grabbed that only when I ever created this event in the first place, meaning before the power outage, I don't re-grab them. And so basically, by the time you restart the system, seconds or whatever amount of time has passed, the time that since the program started will always be ready, because I've not reset that timing. That was horribly explained, but basically I'm not resetting the timing, so every action is ready immediately. So they all just execute as I iterate through the list. They're all ready. There's no timing now, so they're all ready. So they all just execute right away and then get removed off the list, which is why they just executed in the order that they were in the file, not based on the chronological timings that they should have executed in. So that's what I showed in the previous video, which I understand I just did a full recap, but if you're watching this video, it's just you're watching it immediately after, so this recap was unnecessary. But basically that's what's happening, and the fix for that, as I said, is to redo it. Normally, whenever I execute one of the events, so they're all just these inner classes within my main greenhouse class, public class, fans on, extends event, implement serializable. Don't worry about all that. It's just fans on is the class. And the parameterized constructor for that class simply makes a call to the superclass constructor, i.e. event. because it extends event. And so what's that superclass constructor do? Well, in that constructor, we simply take the parameter that gets passed in, the long, the parameter of type long. We assign that delay time to this dot delay time, so to the delay time associated with the event, which is a private instance variable. And then we call the start method. So we call the start method in the event constructor, which does this whole thing here. Grabs the current time from the system, adds the delay time to it, and that's the event time. That's the time that this thing's going to run. The problem is that because I'm deferring to this event superclass constructor, this all happened during the first iteration before the original power went out. It doesn't happen again when I reinstall, when I deserialize the greenhouse controller event. It doesn't like reinitialize anything. These were already created. These events were already created, and they're just waiting for their time to go. So instead, what I need to do is I need to, after I do the superclass, I need to call the start function again. So this start function will basically mean that any of the events that hadn't executed the first time, now when they get created, the start function happens and grabs this. It grabs the current time again the moment it happens. I'm horribly explaining this, but let's show it work. So I just added the start. I'm only going to add it to fans on right now, and then we'll see what that does. So let's just add it to fans on start. So again, this is what we got before. Everything executed, greenhouse water is off, thermostat on, day setting, everything executed in order of the file, what was left. Now, if I recompile this code, because I just made a change, recompile it, recall this command, -F with the example file. All this is in the original order, thermostat. Let me just get the original. I'm going to bring this back. So this is the original file again. And as you can see, thermostat on night setting, light on, light off, greenhouse water on, and then the power event triggered. So night setting, gone. Light on, gone. Light off, gone. And water on at 6 seconds, gone. And then the power out at 6.5 seconds, gone. Then this file gets left. This is what's left in the file. Then this time when I execute the dump out, like the restore function, everything still happens sequentially, and it doesn't look like there was any change. But that doesn't make sense, so let me just make sure that I did save this, and let's try that again. We'll just wait a second for that to go. Yeah, so obviously I didn't save it because you can see that last time when the system was restarting, we went, we had water off, thermostat on day setting, bell event started, terminating. This time we had all the original stuff the same when we started the program, light, night setting, light on, light off, water on, power triggered. But then when we had the system restored from dump.out, fix applied, power restored, resuming greenhouse system, greenhouse water is off, bell event at this time, fan on, fans are turned on, and then power event triggered. So why is that happening? Well, because in the fan on class, I just added the start. So I've restarted this time. So it basically waited a second because it now waited. Where am I? So we still have the water off, would have happened first, triggered first. Then instead of the thermostat day setting. Where is it? Yeah. So then instead of the thermostat day setting, it went to the bell setting. And then fans on, and then power event triggered. This one actually just seems to be out of whack. Why is the power event being triggered that time? Okay, you know what? Might still be more to fix. Because this, let me just recompile this one more time. Because I'm not sure why the power event is being triggered now again. The only thing I was expecting to change was that the fan on would happen this time because I reinitialized the timing. And I am getting the fan turned on, but I'm also missing the thermostat day now. This is still happening right away. I'm missing the thermostat day. You know what? Let's do it. Let's add all the starts right now just to see, because the order of how this is written might also be causing an issue. Let's see. Where did all my stuff go? Right here. Okay, here's all my subclasses, the original ones. Light on extends event. So I'm just going to put the start method, I'm going to call start. After the superclass for everything. After a call to the super constructor, the event constructor for everything. We'll add all these. Terminate, we'll throw one here as well. Any other classes? Some of my other classes are up here that I created. Fans on, start there. Fans off, start there. Bell. And so those are all the classes. Should be okay. A couple more classes. Okay, I think that's it. Let's give it a shot here. Control S. Let's just double check with this. I'm going to recompile the code. So we should get all the same stuff. Thermostat on, night setting, light on, light off, greenhouse water's on, and then the power outage happened. And then when we restore, everything happened immediately again. So this is not necessary. When you save all, it saves everything, but I'm just wondering why this isn't working. So I'm just, sometimes I find it's just weird and you have to recompile it a couple times. No rhyme or reason, but I just want to take the few seconds to rule that out. Okay, so what's happening? Let's just look at our thing. After the fix is applied, this time what we're getting, it's kind of weird how the order is switched too. We're not getting the first things like water off, thermostat day. We're going right to bell event, which that in of itself would make somewhat sense, because if it's respecting the timings, the next things should be these first. But, you know, I could see how, you know what I think's actually happening? I think it's coming in and it's checking bell event. It's checking water off. 10 seconds hasn't passed, maybe. 12 seconds hasn't passed. 9 seconds has, because remember this got shut off at 6.5 seconds. Maybe 9 seconds has passed, so it actually executes this, even though these should happen first. It executes this because this time is ready now. And then it starts to execute that, and then it comes to terminate, doesn't execute because that hasn't reached the time yet. It does fan on at 7 seconds because it's true. And then there's a power out event triggered, which I'm not sure how the powered event triggered is happening. But that's kind of what I'm thinking somewhat going on. I am curious why the power out trigger is still happening though. Actually, you know what? Maybe not. Typically, when we execute an event, it's supposed to get deleted off the list. Event.remove. So here's what we do. We check if an event is ready. We just print out, that event. So I've rewritten, most of the events have a toString method that I've overridden. Or in the original events, there's a toString method. Let's just look. And I say that, and there's not here. So yeah, for bell array, like this is the toString method that goes off when you call the bell event, or the toString method for fans off and stuff. So what's happening, I think now, is I'm checking if the thing is ready. If it's not ready, good, we're not executing this time, which is why I think we executed in this order. We didn't get water off and thermostat right away this time, because it would have executed through the file and been like, nope, not ready, not ready. But then bell event was ready because, again, that was only 2.5 seconds later than when the event first triggered, right? So by the time we get here, maybe it is ready. The time has passed. And then nope, not ready here again because 20 seconds, but then this is ready and it executes. But the problem is it then executes the power off again. But the reason being, and now I'm just trying to decipher this while we're all together. This is the original list. Let's just push this down for a second. That's what the list ends up being. But this is the original list. And again, when we originally call this system restarting system and reading events from this file, thermostat on night setting, that gets deleted from the list. Why? Because if e.ready, as we iterate through the list using the for each loop, we check if e.ready. And again, well, it's ready because it's at 0 time. This is supposed to execute. So that's ready. So we're going to print out the event, which just relies on its toString method. We're going to call the action of that event, and then we're going to remove it from the list. Well, this gets removed from the list. Then, is this ready? Light on 2 seconds. Yeah. Light on. Gets deleted. Is this ready? No. This is at 10 seconds. No. Is this ready? No. Is the bell event ready? No. Water on event ready. So basically it goes through these and it's like, no, 10 seconds, not ready, not ready, not ready, not ready, not ready, not ready. Well, correction, ready. The 4 seconds would be the one that's ready, right? It would have went through all these like over and over and over for the after 2 seconds, between 2 seconds when the light turned on and 4 seconds, and just would have kept iterating this and not executing anything because none of them are ready. As soon as it gets to time off is ready. 4 seconds have passed. That's the next thing that would execute. That gets deleted off the list. Again, if ready, we print it out, do the action, remove from the list. And then again, we call the power the power out function, which is just an event, but it's a special one in the sense that it's executing some for us. So then we do that. I'm not removing it because it doesn't get removed, because as soon as we call the action, we never get to remove the list. Why? Because if we go to the power off event, or power out, what did I call it? The power out event is right here. The action method associated with the power out event sets power on to false, which is a variable in the greenhouse controllers class. Error code gets 2. We throw this controller exception. So this exception gets thrown, controller exception, which, because this is happening in the run method, we're trying to do this stuff in the run method, we catch the exception, and then we just call the shutdown method with the name of, with whatever message that exception has. So now we're back to the shutdown method, which happens here, and basically we try to create a file writer object, and this just says we're going to append to the error log, which I've been tracking. We create the local date time, blah blah blah. This just sends the error code, the message of the error, and the timestamp to a file. This file right here, actually. So this has been tracking all the errors we've been having, and they've been all power outages so far. That tracks all that, and then we create our object output stream object, serializing all of our data, our current state of the greenhouse controllers object, and then at the end we exit the system. So we never actually remove this from the list, which is why where's it at? Where's controller? Right here. So we never actually removed it from the list. So it gets called again, essentially, because it never got removed from the list. So when it got called at 6.5 seconds, it executed. And then when we're reiterating through this, after 6.5 seconds have passed again, well, guess what? It executes again, which is why night off setting wasn't there, light off, light on, light off, greenhouse, water on, they all got removed. This didn't get removed. So then when we go through this again and we came to water off, nope, not ready, because it's at 10 seconds. Thermostat day, not ready, no. Bell, as soon as the next thing that's ready to go, which would have been the 9-second thing, right? I mean, theoretically it should be fans on, but because by the time I re-execute this, we're already past the 9 seconds, I guess. So that's something I will look into, why that, maybe it's just the timing of how close they are, but I'm not sure I fully understand why this is still happening first. But this executes, which is whatever for now, we'll just assume that. It executes, and then we go down again and we execute this again. I'm not sure. This would have got removed, sorry. That's why. This would have been removed. So then this executes, being 9 seconds, and the next thing that would execute would be the fan on event. I mean, theoretically this should have executed first. I'm not 100% sure why. We'll look into that. But it's probably just because how it's so close that by the time I restart, I mean, I'm grasping at straws for that, but maybe this somehow was ready too. We'll see. Or I didn't restart that event yet, maybe. Who knows? In fact, that's more likely the cause. I didn't put the start in the Bell event yet. But either way. Oh, because it's a separate thread too. That's probably has something to do separate. That was running in a separate thread. So I'll have to look at that separately. So the fans on event happens, but then it comes back to this event, which remember is not removed. I just did this so that we could see that it should have been removed. But this is ready because it was at 6.5 seconds, and then it terminates again. So all that to say, again, this is incredibly confusing, and I'm not explaining this very well. I'm trying to go through it piecemeal, but bottom line is this never got removed. So we start, I think putting the start, restarting the event timings is working. The bell only happened, which is why we didn't execute these events or this event, and we executed only bell and fans on. Bell is being executed because I have that in a separate thread. I'm doing some multi-threading stuff with bell, so that's why that's probably executing. And I'll look at that in a second. but the power out event never got removed. So I'll stop the video here. I'm going to ultimately remove the power out event. Now I could just do it that one of the probably easy and dirty way to kind of do it would be to just before I exit the system, because I know this is only being called when the event was, well, this gets called a few times, so I don't know if I want to put it here, but I could put like remove the power event here. But again, shutdown gets called if it's a power out event, if it's a window malfunction, if it's terminate. So there's probably a better way to do it. The better way to do it probably would be when I restore things. Where's my restore function? The better way to do it would probably be when I restore everything, that, and I deserialize the info. I do a check maybe. Let me see what would be a good way to do this. I'm just looking something up off screen. I think the best way to do this no, that wouldn't work. I don't know. In the restore, I'm going to do something, because if I do it in the shutdown, it would be quick and dirty. If I could do like an if-else statement to check what event is causing the shutdown, if it's a power out event, a window malfunction, I could do that. But I think it would be better and more elegant to do it in the restore function and do something where I basically, in my restore, when I'm after I do all this, my fixable, call the get fixable method, get my fixable, and do this. You know what? The restore method calls restart. Let's do it in the restart method, because the restore method is doing it in the restart method. Where's restart? Okay, in the restart class, correction, not method. In the restart method, when I iterate through and find my matchers, like basically when I use my regular expression to create my pattern, this is going to get recalled when I restore. This is just a big long note. So the action method, the restart, is going to happen again, and I call the action method, restarting everything, and I'm using my regular pattern to go through the file. I create a scanner based on the file name, and I'm using this regular expression to iterate through and get a matcher object created based on the my regular expression, and I'm pulling from the file the different groups, group 1, group 2, and optionally group 3, which gives me the event type, the delay, and extra param. And then I'm going through here and comparing what it is. I could do, if the event type, like here I'm checking the event type, I could do something like, I'm just going to do this with you guys on the line. If event type equals power out, like right now I have if it's power out. Instead of adding the event right away, I'm going to check if power on, which is a variable that indicates whether the power's on, it's will be true if there's been no power outage and false otherwise. So if not power on, basically meaning if power on is false, so not false is true. So if power on is false, which it will be when I initially called the power out event, so if this is true, meaning I've just called the power out event, then I'm going to just continue. This might be quick and dirty, but if not power on, and again, power on will be false if I just had a power outage event, which, I have one here. That'll be false. So if not false, which is true, I'm going to continue, meaning I'm just going to skip this iteration. and break out of the loop. Otherwise, I'm not sure if this will work for this case statement. If, I should just put if power on, do this. So I could just do, I don't know what I'm doing. I might just do this better. I'll add the event only if the power is on. So basically this is the same logic. If power is on, which it won't be on if I just had the power outage. If power is on, I'm going to add the event. Otherwise I won't, because I won't want to add it. This is kind of quick and dirty. I'm going to try it anyway while I have you guys here. It might be a quick and dirty solution. It won't fix the bell timing and everything. This, when I rerun, will still happen first because I got to look at that multi-threading. The thing I'm trying to fix is that the power triggered doesn't happen again. Let's just save this, see if that works. Compile the code. Read from the code. This is all the same stuff. Thermostat on, night setting, light on, light off. The power outage happens. And then the dump file. Okay, so we still had the fans on, power outage. I don't get why the power outage happened this time, because I should have only, if power on, do this. Otherwise, I shouldn't have done this. I shouldn't have added this event. I shouldn't have added this event if the power is on. Let me just go to the power out section too. Let's just look up my power out code, which I believe is up here. So there, by the way, there's the variables, public boolean power on and window on. So if power on is true, which it's set true when the program starts, but when I have the power off event happen, which is around window malfunction, power out event extends event, power out extends event, implements serializable. Here's the power on event. I set power on to false when this action happens. So because that gets set to false, when it's set to false, it should stay false. But now that I'm thinking that, so that should have worked, but clearly I'm resetting that. Maybe when I go restore, I gotta look at restart again. In restart, do I do anything with power on? What about restore? I could probably just look up the particular power on variable, would have been quicker, but I'm already doing this now. So I don't see anything off the top that shows that that power on gets reset, but let's just look. Power on is true when we first start the program. Power on equals false. Return new power on. Oh, return new power on object. I'll look at that in a second. So because I'm returning new power on object, power on gets set to true again. Okay. So I reset power on to true, so this little quick and dirty thing I was trying to do wouldn't work. However, I could set a new variable in here. I could have like basically when power on happens, I could have it, I could set power on equal to true again, which I think I have to do as part of the requirements for the assignment, but I could also just create, power failure occurred. I'm just going to do this right quick. power failure occurred. I don't know how to spell occurred. Power failure occurred. That doesn't look right to me at all. You know what? I'm having a brain fart here. Power failure occurred equals true. I'm just going to do this. This is, again, quick and dirty. I might change this. I'm just trying something quickly. Give myself lots of room. Public boolean. Set this to false. And this, I'm already seeing a problem. This, I'll have to do some sort of counter or something, because if I want to have more than one power failure during a file, I'll need to figure something else out. But this is going to be quick for now. That's going to hopefully allow me to do this. Just to do a thing. So if power failure occurred, basically, if that's true. If it's not true, I want to add this thing. Otherwise, I don't want to add it. Let's try that. Power failure occurred is false at the start. So if it's false, not false is true, I add the thing. But if it's true, I shouldn't add it again. I wonder if it's just a matter of I didn't save this. I can't remember if I saved it or not. Okay, let's try this again. This is... No, okay, so I'm still having a power outage detected. It's probably just something not thinking. Basically, case power out. If power failure occurred, if that's false, not false is true. So if this is false, I add the power out event, but I won't add it otherwise. Even now, I'm starting to think, you know what? I'm starting to think that this doesn't even make sense, because I'm trying to solve the issue as we go, but I'm not even sure. Let me just do this. What's going on? I've been using a few different IDEs recently. They all have different shortcuts. It would have been quicker for me to type system.out.print. I'm just going to put... I just want to know when I come in here. That's all. So that's what I was thinking. That's why I put that there. You can see that I came in here a bunch. How many times? Well, if I counted them, it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Which switched 11. Let's move this down. Corresponds with the files. So I only do the events the first time. That's what I was thinking. I only ever come in here the first time. When I restart the program, I have no reason to come back in here and try this again and use the scanner, because I'm just reinitializing the program from the previous state. So I don't need to really go through here again, which is why it doesn't come in here this time. So any of my fixes that I was going to do in there wouldn't have mattered. So I can get rid of that foolish power failure occurred. Let's just get rid of that. Because that has no use to us. And instead, we need to solve the issue after the fact. I need a way to just remove it from the list. So basically, again, ultimately I want this to be removed from the list in the action. So instead of the action happening here, power out, where's the power out? Okay. Power out event, action happens, power on, blah, 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 throw the controller exception. Throw controller exception, which gets caught by the controller because this is happening here. So I could do a finally clause. A couple of things I could do is do a finally clause, and that's probably what the easiest thing is. Now I could rearrange this and do a try with resources. Typically I've been using throughout my code try with resources instead of try catch finally blocks, just because try with resources is great, especially if you have anything that's auto closable. But in this case, I think I already have the try block set up. This never gets executed. I have a catch clause. I think the easiest thing to do when I catch the shutdown is just to do the finally clause and do this. Make sure it gets removed from the list. Now E is no longer available to me because it's local to here. So that's still not really helping me. Unless I just make the event. See, I'm starting to make a lot of things I don't want to do, because I could make the event out here and an event variable out here that's just being iterated through, but that's not good. Ironically, I had an alternative run method that I was using an iterator at one point, and I think it'd be easier with an iterator right now, because the iterator, I could just use the next method or remove and it might still grab it. Anyway, the finally clause, let's see. You know, I know when the catch is happening, maybe I don't even need a finally clause. Typically you would have a finally clause is used for things that you need to execute cleanup code, actually, typically, so you can close files or anything. Like if this was C++ where you explicitly have to close things that you've opened up, like pointers and stuff, you need to dereference them and all that so you don't have memory leaks. Not a concern with Java because of automatic garbage collection and stuff, but that's typically what you would do in finally clauses. Close any files you have open or any of that sort of stuff. This would lend itself very well, but because I don't have access to this event outside of the try clause, I think the best thing to do is just in the catch clause, I can add this event list.remove, because I still have access to it. Actually, in this case, E is referencing the exception. And this doesn't know what it is now. It's like, what is this? Okay. How do I remove that from the list? You know what? It's 1:30. I might have to come back when I think of this solution. It's probably staring me right in the face, but I'm just having trouble thinking at this moment. I mean, I just need this removed. I mean, the only other thing is, theoretically, I could remove it from the list and call the action. I wonder if that makes sense. Let's just do that for a second. I mean, once I remove from the list, that's fine. I still have access to it right here. Let's just try this. Okay, so that seems to have worked. So, like I said, sometimes the simplest solution is staring you right in the face. Because I just realized, after I'm looking, I'm trying to figure out how to get to this piece of code to remove this from the list after the action happens, which obviously causes the shutdown. And then I realized I can just switch these in the list, switch the order, because once I remove from the list, I still have access to this event for this period of time while I'm in this block. So I just call the action. So that works good. And so now we can see what's happened again. Let's just do a full look through again. I mean, the video is long enough. No one's watching it but me anyway. So let's restart this. So when we go through, when we first call the program, system restarting, restarting system, and reading events from file. This was just foolishness I put in. Thermostat on night setting happens because its time delay is 0. There's no delay. So this happens right away and gets removed from the list. Again, we go if e.ready, as we're iterating through the event list, which the event list was created based off this file. These are all the events. If e.ready, meaning if the delay time is passed, like since the program started, if enough time has passed, then we're ready. Then we are going to, print out the event using its toString method, remove it from the list, and, call the action, whatever that event does, which typically is just, print something out to the screen. So this is ready, so it's going to execute an order. At time 0, this is going to get removed from the list, which is what happens. Thermostat on night setting. So just to show you there, that's what I just removed from the list. Thermostat on night setting gets removed from the list. Then light on, light off. Light on at 2 seconds got removed from the list. And then light off at 4 seconds got removed from the list. Greenhouse water is on at 6 seconds got removed from the list. Again, it's going in chronological order according to the times. And then power out event triggered at 6.5 seconds. And then boom, we stopped. Power outage. When we restarted, system restored from dump.out, fix applied, power restored, resuming greenhouse system. Well, it goes through, and what's the next thing that should have hit? Well, it is fans on at time and then fans off before this, but there's still multi-threading, which I'm going to actually stop this video and look at the multi-threading issue that's happening. But so that triggers, sorry, bell event triggers, but then the next thing that happens is it passes this, it passes this, passes this, it goes to the next chronological event based on time. Fan on, fans are turned on. Fans off. Fans are turned off. These are just the two strings I have printing out. So that happens. That gets canceled. That gets deleted off the list. That gets deleted off the list. Obviously, we didn't re-trigger the power outage this time because we removed it from the list before we called it last time. And then the rings start happening. These are happening asynchronously, like multi-threading is happening. So these are happening asynchronously with the rest of the main method. So rings 1 to 5 happens at 9 seconds. So it happens at 9 seconds, which is still actually, come to think of it, it's still after the fan's on, the first ring. So maybe this is, I'll have to look at to why I'm printing off the number of rings first, but at least the timing is not happening. And maybe this actually probably just gets printed off when I go in the file for some reason. I might have been doing this for me. These are true strings. Because to be honest, this is happening at the right time after fans on and fans off, which were at 7 and 8 seconds respectively. Now I'm doing my first ring at 9 seconds. And then this should sequentially happen every 2 seconds. So then bell ring 1 to 5, then water off at 10 seconds, which makes sense. And then after 10 seconds, 2 seconds later, after the first ring, should be the second ring at 11 seconds, before the thermostat day at 12. And it is the second ring. Then thermostat on day setting at 12 seconds. And then, so this should be at 11 seconds. The first one was at 9 seconds. And the second ring will be at 11 seconds. Third ring at 13 seconds. Fourth ring at 15 seconds. And last ring at 17 seconds. And that's what we have. We get all the rings. Ring, 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 terminating. So that actually seems like everything's working good now. So now I just got to figure out the bell event. But as I said, considering the bell timings work out, it might actually be already solved. It might be just a matter of me doing some weird printouts that it would print out just by going in the event without actually executing it based on the time. So, where's bell? The bell event here. So yeah, when I come in the bell event, when I do the action, yeah, right away when I come and do the action, I print this out. So the action happens. The action happens regardless of the timing. So maybe that's part of the issue. This doesn't actually need to happen. Yeah, I don't need that to happen. And then the thread comes in. Try bell rings at this time. Let's try that. File save. If this doesn't work, I promise I will let you guys go. Recompile. Everything's good so far. Dump out. So I still got one printout, bell event, ring left 5 times, but everything else seems good. So, okay, it's because my 2-string method that I print out for bell event is printing out bell rings left 5. Maybe I don't want that starting, so that happens when I run through if e.ready. I print out, do the print screen, which is a println of e, which is causing this to happen, the 2-string to execute, bell event rings plus 5 rings. That's why this is getting printed out. And then I remove it from the list and call the action. So the problem is the action doesn't, but it still only would happen if it was ready. So let me just think. It's still thinking it's ready. E.ready. And that could be for a couple of reasons. I wonder if it's because the timing was so close that it gets activated. Actually, you know what it would be? I restarted. Oh, here's why it's oh, okay. Bell. Here's why. I put the bell function is the bell class is the only event that I have two parameters. I have a default one that just takes in a single parameter of type long, and I have the variable, the parameterized version. Well, they're both parameterized actually, but the bell constructor that takes in a second parameter, an optional parameter for int rings, which I never did the restart. So it's ready every time. So this will solve the issue because I didn't do the start thing here. Okay, this has been an hour. This is almost an hour long. This is why I should have just finished all my code before writing the test, but I had a lot of things going on and I had to do it in this weird order, and it causes you a lot of extra time when you have to go back and you're trying to wonder what was that code I wrote, and it takes you a lot longer to troubleshoot. Like I'm kind of rethinking of things as I'm doing this. I still think that showed up right away and it shouldn't, so I'm just not sure if it picked it out yet. And let's go. Let's just delete this. Let's do a clear. So I get greenhouse water is off. That's the first thing that happened after the fix, which makes sense, I guess. Let's just do this one more time. It makes sense. The original is this. This would have went away. This went away. So let's see. That's gone. That's gone. That's gone. That's gone. Power out event triggered. When we restart things, we come back, and right away, greenhouse water is off. No, now we're back to just reading in order. Greenhouse water is off. Then bell event. Why did that happen? And then I got, fans on, fans off. Thermostat day. Everything's good except we got this greenhouse water off at 10 seconds now. And then this. So that seems a little off again. Well, I think we've done enough troubleshooting for now. I'll have to take a closer look at this. Start. Yeah, start, delay time. I think it has something to do with when in my action, when I create this thread, the action should only happen. Bell event. This should only get printed out if it was ready, and that would be based on, oh, you know what? This start thread would happen right away. I'm still not sure. This action should only happen if E is ready, if the event is ready, which should only happen if the time is passed. But we restart the event. Okay, we'll have to figure it out after. I'll come back and try to figure it out. Maybe it's just a matter of shutting everything down. You turn it on, turn it off again. But anyway, this was a long troubleshooting video, but I think we've got a lot of the issues solved. This last one should be fairly minor. So I'll be back when I have it solved.